so good to be here. So good. And Carrie, Senate, thank you all for putting this on. Leadership events like this are so very important. I'm a little sad to see the number of people in Twin Falls that just maybe weren't aware, but that are not here. So we are going to jump into this as soon as we get it up. So I want you to, and thank you for the introduction, Alex. Close your eyes if you need to. This is going to be a whole different presentation than what we just experienced with Luke. It's phenomenal. And he was talking about points, and I thought, that's so good. And I had to leave a little bit earlier to get ready here, so I was bummed I missed out on some of that. But excited, it's all going to tie together here. So if you would like to close your eyes for just a second, and I want you to think of a house. Once you have your house in your mind, if you would just raise your hand, let me know. Okay, got one hand, two hands. Some of you are slow building your houses. Go ahead and... Okay, go ahead and open your eyes. And is this working? Anybody's house look like that? Something similar to that? Anything? Sure? It's a stretch, but sure, okay. Did anybody's house look like this? Some? Maybe? Somewhere in between? Okay. Who built your house? You did. So it's not a matter of the big one's better, the little one's worse or better. You are the one that put the parameters on what you imagined, what you saw as the house that you built when I asked you a question. I'm going to be asking a number of questions. I'm not going to be telling you so many things as opposed to posing different questions. Because I think if we just give information, what it's going to do is it's going to be very finalized in our mind and we stop growing. I love growth. Carrie talked about core values. Growth is one of my core values, as well as identity and connection. So if I'm just giving information, it limits thought. But if we can ask some questions, it opens up huge possibilities. So what we're going to be talking about is leadership culture, developing the culture around us. I want us to understand that as we go through here, when I speak about certain things, I'm going to speak as I'm talking to myself, and I'd like you to do the same thing. So we're going to be talking about questions every leader should ask. As a leader, and I would like you to say this either out loud in your mind, however you want to do it. As a leader, I create the culture that I want. Just like you built that house in your mind, I ask you to think of a house, whatever the picture was in your mind, you're the one that did that. The culture that you're currently in, who's responsible for building that culture? Wow. So Luke is great at getting the energy up. That was not great. So who is responsible for building the culture that you're currently in? Okay, so complaining about the culture does no good, but just taking ownership and responsibility for that culture is going to be super valuable. So we're going to talk about a couple questions. These listed up here, we'll talk through, but then also as I'm speaking, I want you to be asking yourself some other questions. We're going to talk about a number of things, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, am I developing a culture that values growth? Are you developing a culture that values growth? And I would encourage you, some of you have your things to take notes, writing down a lot of questions. You might not get all the answers to these. You're not going to get all the answers to these because we're going to go through a lot. How does my leadership add value to people? That was one of the last things that Luke was talking about. How do I add value to people? Am I investing in myself? Because as the king goes, so goes the country. If I'm wanting to change culture, but I'm not investing in myself, if I'm not changing myself, I'm not going to be able to change the culture in the direction that I want. I am a leader, and what is my influence for? Leadership is influence. Nothing more and nothing less. If I am influencing people, I'm leading people. If I'm not influencing people, I'm not leading people regardless of my title or position. There are a lot of people, anybody here have people that are in positions of leadership, but they're just terrible. They suck. They're not influencing people towards growth. So if you're not influencing people, you're not leading people. We're talking about leadership and culture. Leadership is influence, nothing more. What does your influence look like? Just taking a self-assessment. What does your influence look like right now? Who are you influencing? Who's influencing you? We're going to ask a lot of questions. In the meantime of asking questions, we're going to talk about a number of things. We're going to talk about a rooster. We're going to talk about training horses. We're going to talk about musical chairs. We're going to talk about music notes. We're going to talk about climbing mountains. We're going to talk about Rope Myers, world champion bulldogger. We're going to talk about mean dogs. All of that stuff has to do with leadership. And we're going to tie this all together. So we're going to have a lot of stories. Is that all right with everybody? Everybody good with the stories? All right. And also, I'm going to go kind of through this pretty quickly. And if there's anything that I'm really big on crowd participation as well. So if somebody has a thought or if somebody has a question, raise your hand. I may or may not call on you, but I'll at least see that you're engaged. So here we go. When I was, so as Alex said, I fought bulls in the PBR and the PRCA for about 16 years. And when I started out fighting bulls, I had elbow guards. This was not me. It may have well have been me because I started out, I had knee pads. These are not my knees. These are my elbows. I had knee pads. I had elbow pads. I had arm guards. I had shin pads. I had ankle braces after I taped my ankles. I had big old clunky cleats because they were sturdy and I didn't want to slip. I wanted to make sure that my feet were good. Had all of these pads. I was very comfortable. I didn't want to get injured fighting bulls. I didn't want to take a shot that it would maybe cut me, bruise me, break me. I didn't want that. So I was all padded up and I was very comfortable. As I progressed in my fighting career, I started to realize that the knee pads, because they had material back here, and fighting bulls is a lot about positioning. It's about being in the right place at the right time. And if you're not, it's bad news. And so I started to realize that my equipment that I had on that was initially there to protect me was actually slowing me down. So I had to start to peel off things so that I could move quicker and I could be more efficient, more effective. So I had to get past, Luke mentioned it, alluded to it, everything that I currently want and I don't have is because it's just on the other side of my comfort zone. Where are you within regard to your comfort zone? How comfortable are you right now in life? How comfortable are you right now in business? How comfortable are you right now in your relationships? How comfortable are you in your finances? How comfortable are you in your spiritual walk? What things have you just settled into comfort on? I started out in high school rodeo, junior rodeo, and ended up in an elite group of bullfighters in the PBR and the PRCA. And there's a reason for that. I pressed beyond what I was comfortable with. I wasn't comfortable shedding the pads because the pads gave me security. I was comfortable in that. But until I started to shed the pads, it limited me, and I stayed right where I was until I started to shed those pads. Then I could grow to that next level. So be thinking about what things are you comfortable in, and where can you press yourself to grow a little bit? Because you can't grow and stay in your comfort zone at the same time. A lot of you in here, I assume, train horses. Are we? No? Okay. So we'll walk you through a little bit of that. So if you have this horse, you put it in a round pen, and the reason you have the pin up is because that horse is going to want to scatter because you're a predator if you're in there and it's prey. And so this horse is it'll be looking over the fence. It's wanting to get anywhere else but right there in that round pen with the horse trainer. So the horse is looking, my goal with that horse is to get that horse to turn and face me. I'm pressure. It's wanting to leave. If I can get that horse to turn and face me, then what I do as the trainer is I step back just a little bit and I relieve some of that pressure so that I can train that horse that I'm where that horse wants to be. The horse is wanting to come to me, and that's how I do that. So if any of you were curious, that's kind of how you start training a horse. How it applies to us is that horse is born with phenomenal ability, depending on how it's bred. So it could be bred to be a roping horse, cutting horse, just a working ranch horse. It's in that horse to do great things from birth. That horse, until it turns in and starts to face some fears, will never realize its strengths. Where do you fit in that scenario? What do you need to turn to and face in order to develop some strengths and allow your strengths to come to the surface? So often we go through life and we're limited because of insecurities. We're limited because of fear. We're limited because of voices that have been spoken into our life. We're going to talk about that in a little bit as well. But we're limited by so many things, and we're always trying to scatter. Instead of, we have this area in life that's a rub, it's a pressure, it's a fear, it's a doubt, it's an uncertainty. And wherever the fear is, wherever the doubt is, wherever the uncertainty is, that's exactly where we need to go, because that's where the life is. And that's where our strengths come alive. Just like these horses, they want to scatter. And it's not until they turn and face that their strengths are really allowed to be tapped into and that they can become everything that they were created to be. Luke, I didn't come back from Nepal or climbing a mountain. I came back from Florida recently, but that's not nearly the story. But climbing mountains, not something I've done, but one thing I do know, and I think it's probably very evident, nobody goes to the top of the mountain seeing how much baggage, how much equipment, how much weight they can carry. The thing about life, the thing about business, is wherever I go, there I am. So I can't be really, really successful in business and suck in these other areas. The life wheel. Wherever I go, there I am. So most of you, I think, are probably wanting to be here, and it has to do probably with business and growing your business and becoming everything that you're wanting out, getting everything out of your business. How's the rest of your life? How are your relationships? How's your spiritual walk? How are your finances? It's these other areas that are holding us back from summiting and experiencing levels of success that we want. So what things do I need to let go of? What baggage? Unforgiveness, bitterness, jealousy, envy. These kind of things that we allow, we just kind of pick them up over life, things that people have spoken into our lives that we've believed, things about our identity, things about our self-image that we carry with us everywhere we go, and then we expect to climb the mountain and we expect to be the great success, but we're carrying all of this junk. What do you need to let go of? If you're around people and can read people very well, some people can, some people can't, but I can, and even situations like this, if I'm around and I can start to see faces, and I don't want anybody to hide or anything, but I can see faces, and it's almost like you wear your life on your face. You wear your hurt on your face. You might be able to put on a show for a little bit, but there's a spirit about us that we carry everywhere we go. And that spirit about us we need to be aware of that. What things am I carrying around through life that I really need to let go of? The things that are hindering me. Because I can't carry unforgiveness around in me. And you've all probably heard this. Unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work. All it does is it just causes me to be bitter. And I can't expect to lead. I can't expect to have a culture that's free and full of life and growth if I'm carrying around things that influence the way that I perceive people. If I have things that have past trauma in my past, growing up, if I allow that trauma to continue to impact my life, it's going to flavor all of my relationships. It's going to flavor how I do business, and it's going to flavor how I go through life. So we've talked about getting out of our comfort zone. We've talked about tapping into our strengths. We've talked about what things do I need to let go of to where I need to be. Well, also, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. What do you think of when you see that word, manage? Hopefully I spelled it right. I'm not a very good speller. So what do you think of when you think of the word manage? Just getting by, okay. Management, managers. Those are nauseous words to me. They're awful. What do you think about when you think about the word lead? Leadership, opportunity, team, growth. Are you a manager or are you a leader? Leader. Here's what I would love. I would love if the whole business world would just get together on a Saturday and say, we're going to change, we're going to eliminate all management positions, and we're going to give them a new title of leadership, of leader. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Because the words that we speak control the scenario. What culture are you building? Are you building a culture of managers and management, or are you building a culture of leadership? When I think of management, I think I have a plate of food. I may or may not like the food, but if I'm managing that plate, my only option is to move this food over to here and shuffle this around a little bit. That's all I can do if I'm managing that plate of food. But if I'm leading, I may look at that plate and say, this plate is garbage. I'm getting a new plate, and maybe I'm going to grab another, and I'm going to take this food, and I'm going to take this food, and I'm going to lead, and I'm going to grow, and I'm going to expand to what I want. You are responsible for creating the culture that you want. Are you stuck in a management mindset or a leadership mindset? Manage, succeed in surviving, or cope. That's awful. Nobody wants their business just to succeed in surviving. If that's what you're doing, you're dying. Leadership is we're influencing people towards growth. And more important than, so maybe look at it like this. Why am I leading? Why am I influencing? We talked about leadership as influence, nothing more, nothing less. But what's the value of that? Why are we doing that? Leadership and influence can be used for a number of things. It can be used to influence people who are in positions of influence so that we can create some change and growth there. And one of my favorite things is so that I can lend my leadership, I can lend my influence to people who don't have it or people who are learning and growing. As a leader, and as a leader who's shaping your culture, why are you shaping your culture the way that you want to shape your culture? Is it for you, or is it for everybody else? And if we're honest, most of the time it's for us. Are we adding value to people, or are we using people to add value to us? All right. Who likes music? All right, what kind of music? All of it. All of the country. Punk rock. 90s grunge. Okay. So, Stephen Covey, if you've been in the business world for however long, we realize that he's added a lot of value to people with time management. So the question is, do you manage your energy as well as you manage your time? And let's take it, and we're going to go back to management and leadership because management sucks. So do you lead your energy as well as you lead your time? Do you make it what you want it? So in music, a lot of times we think about what we hear. And we have all of these different flavors of what we hear. Country and punk rock and grunge. And we're focused on the sound, mostly. But the beauty comes because of the rest. In music, there's a rest. And it's that rest that gives the music space to breathe. Who here likes to go into, let's say you came into this room, or in your living room. You came into your living room, and I was so nice as to come over to your house before you got home, and I rearranged, I decorated for you. And what I did is I crammed your sofa and your chair and your TV and your plants and your pictures and anything else that I could find in your house, and I crammed it all into one corner. I said, there you go. Thank you. Who would like that? No one. Why? It's unused space. It's the space that gives flavor to life. Okay. Unless you have some kind of physical thing, unless COVID is something that you're hesitant of, I'd like y'all to stand up, please. Yes! Yes! Okay. Out of your seats, and I want, right here is where we're going to be. I want you to come down here. As close as you can. Close as you can. Cram it, not lining up. Not lining up. We're getting in here close. Not too close to her because she's mine. Come on in. So close. Fill up. Keep going. Fill up that space. Hands down by your sides. Arms straight. This is pretty key. Arms straight. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to ask you to do something. Arms straight. I want you right where you are. Keep your arms straight. Right arm over your head. Come on, quick. Hey, you bent your elbow. You bent your elbow. I saw it. Okay, arms straight. Okay, I want you to raise your right knee as high as you can. Okay, go ahead and sit down. All the guys are covering up. I don't like that knee. Okay, go ahead and sit down. Yeah, we're stuck here in the front. Okay. So those on the peripheral had a little bit more space to move, a little bit easier. As you're making your way back to your seats. Do you lead your energy as well as you lead your time? And with a group like this, because I'm going to say all of you are leaders, we're generally focused on the sound and we're not tuned into or aware of the value of the rest. We couldn't move, we couldn't do things because we were so crammed. What's your mind look like right now? Does your mind look like this group, and then you're trying to function through life, and you're trying to do things, and you're trying to run your business, and you're trying to lead the employees and lead the coworkers, but you've created a culture that is so focused on doing and production that you lose sight of the value of the rest. So there was a doctor in Texas, this was a few years ago, and he heard this idea of taking a Sabbath, taking a day to rest. And some of you probably just checked out. It's like, I can't, do you know what I have to do? I have so many things. I have to do all this and that, and I can't rest. So this doctor was like the rest of us that think I can't do that. But he bought in and he said, okay, I'm going to give this a go. So he was taking his day of rest, And he had this phenomenal idea. And he thought, oh, shoot, I'm on my day of rest. I can't write this down. I'm not supposed to do any work. I can't be doing this. But he looked, and he had just finished. It was like 12:02 or whatever. And so he went ahead and wrote that idea down. Then he went back to his colleagues and shared this idea with his colleagues. And his colleagues said, this is going to revolutionize the sector of the medical industry that he was in. Why did he get that? Rest. His mind wasn't like this, piling one more thing on, trying to produce one more thing, just managing his schedule so that he could do all his stuff, but neglecting his energy. If you manage your schedule well, but you don't lead your energy, you're going to miss out on so many medical breakthroughs. I guess that's a question to ask. How many breakthroughs in your industry, in your relationships, in your finances have you missed out on because you've been focused on the music and not tuned into the rest? You haven't led your life in the area of rest. You haven't led your life in the area of energy. So, Alan Bach, 7-time world champion, team roper. I was teaching a fighting school in Sayre, Oklahoma, and he was there teaching the team roping. And here's a guy, 7-time world champion. He knows his stuff. And I watched him. He was talking with one of his students, and one of his students was just telling Alan all about whatever he was telling him. Thank you. And Alan, he's a tall guy, kind of like a Mark, just a tall guy. In fact, I was standing there, Mark's standing uphill because we got an incline here. I'm not a tall guy. And I'm standing downhill. I'm like, Mark, this isn't helping me. So Alan, he's down like this, talking to this kid about roping. And he's listening. He's not just being polite. He's listening. 7-time world champion. Talking with a kid that barely swings a rope. And he's listening to learn. He's valuing that person more than he's valuing his position. Do you value your position more than you value people? Or are you able to step? Because what we do in life, it's so stupid. We put people on these tiers. We put people on these levels. Maybe they've achieved some success in whatever area, finances or relationship or business or prestige. We put people on these tiers, and it isolates people from people. Well, here's a 7-time world champion. He removed that tier, and he got down to his student. That's why he's a world champion, is because he can learn from anybody. Who have you isolated yourself from and marked off as, I can't learn from them. I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not going to talk to them. And it's isolating us from great things. So when I was just a little kid, I had to feed the chickens. Anybody else have to feed the chickens growing up? Yeah. We're in Idaho. A lot of people have to feed the chickens. So in the mornings, I would get my jug of water, and I would get my bucket of food, grain. I'd go to the chicken coop, and I'd pull open the door, and I'd peek in, and I'd look. And I'd say, okay, no rooster. I'm good. The food and the water, it was on the other side of the chicken coop. So I would run over there, and I'd drop the water, and I'd drop the food, and I'd turn around, and that rooster would be right there. And I say, like right here, I was this tall, and I think it was that tall. And so every morning before school and when I got home, I would get flogged by this rooster. He would jump on my head. He would peck me. He would spur me. If you've ever been flogged by a chicken, you know what that is. He would flap me. I'd go inside crying. I'm like, what? I hated it. But it was my job. And so finally my mom got tired of me bawling. And she said, well, just kill the thing. So went out and killed the rooster. And she gave us butter knives to butcher the thing with, and it's 120 in the middle of summer, and so I'm sure I had salmonella before it was even a thing, because I'm out there with this raw chicken for 3 hours. So I talked to my mom, or my dad, just a handful of years ago, and I said, Dad, do you remember that rooster? And he says, yeah. Oh, here's another thing. So I get off the bus. I'm a little kid. The bus drops me off a quarter mile from our place up at my grandparents' house. I walk home, gravel road, walk home. I get to the driveway. Guess who's in the driveway? The rooster. So I had to walk back and call my brother to come get the rooster out of the... Some of you think it's a chicken. It's a rooster. So I'm talking to my dad, and I said, Dad, why didn't you kill that thing? And he said, well, when I was a little kid, I had to feed the chickens. And I would get flogged every day. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, then you should have known my pain. Why didn't you save me from this? And he said, and I'd get flogged, and I told my mom, and my mom said, well, just go kill it. Same story. And he said, I killed my roosters. You had to kill yours. So what we do in leadership so often is we see somebody else's giant and we just want to fix it for them. My dad added value to me because he allowed me to grow. He didn't solve my problem for me. In leadership, it's a lot easier. When somebody comes to us with a problem, it's much faster to solve the problem. Well, I'll just do it. Anybody ever do that? I'll just do it myself. It's easier just to do it myself than to take the time to train or to do whatever to kill their giant. I won't tell you what to do. How often do you kill people's giants for them? And guess what? Next week they're going to come back and they're going to have that same giant that you're going to have to deal with. As a leader, how well are you at adding value to people by helping them grow? Okay, who's sitting at your table? We're going to go through these a little bit quicker. When you're at dinner, most of the time people around you are friends, family, people that have a voice into your life, right? And that voice into your life is generally a good voice. It's not fighting and bickering. Hopefully, if that's the case, find a different table. But we'll see if this will work here. Anybody ever play musical chairs? Okay. Yeah. So we have a certain number of seats at our table. In grade school, play musical chairs, and there was always the one kid that wouldn't get to the chair but would go ahead and cheat and pull somebody out of their chair and sit down. Any of you, were you that kid? Okay. Yeah, I've seen, okay. So this is musical chairs, and we'll see. I don't know if there's going to be any sound. Okay, this is... Yeah, they're not done. They're not done. Okay, musical chairs. They're fighting for a seat at the table. So who has a seat at your table? Who's fighting for a seat at your table? And generally, it's the kid that's going to cheat and try and pull somebody out of the chair that you don't want there. That voice is the voice that you don't want at the table. Have you heard things like, I'm not good enough, that I'm not able, I'm not smart enough, nobody's going to follow me, nobody's going to believe in this idea, this is too big for me? Those are the voices at your table that we need to get rid of. Those are the voices that we need to remove. So Rope Myers, he was a 2001 world champion bulldogger. He set the NFR arena record. He turned like 10 steers in, I think, 34.7 seconds to flip 10. And so he was knocking it out of the park, and he was doing this against other world champions. So after the event, he's walking back behind the chutes, and he said this one guy that he respected said, Rope, that was phenomenal. It's never going to get any better than that. And Rope was like, he's not a proud guy. He's like, that was really pretty good, and I don't know if it's going to get any better than that. So the next season starts, and he's going along, and he's really struggling. And then he realized that he had allowed a thought to land in his head that it's never going to get any better. And he settled for that thought. And then once he recognized that, he said he was spending some time in prayer and just meditating, and he saw himself bailing off of this horse. And if he was usually like this, he saw his leg move just a little bit. So he created a new thought, created a new idea, began to meditate on that, began to practice that, and then he went on to be very successful beyond what he had. But he had allowed a thought into his mind that limited him. He'd allowed somebody to sit at his table that was saying things that were hindering him from what he wanted. Who's sitting at your table, and what are you doing about it? What narrative are you listening to, and who is leading that narrative? So my third daughter, Kiara, she is 7 now. She was so afraid of dogs. If we're outside, inside, wherever, if there's a dog in the room or around, she's climbing up my leg and she's getting away from that dog. And so she's holding my hand or my finger, and we're walking through this outdoor music thing, and we're just having a great time. I look up and I see this dog over here, and she doesn't see the dog. There's something on the other side of the dog that she's wanting, and so she lets go of my finger, and she just takes off. And then I see that she sees the dog, and I'm watching. What is she going to do? And I saw her. She's walking. She sees the dog. She walks past the dog. So that night, put my girls to bed, pray with them. Every night, do some affirmations, and we hadn't done those yet, but Kiara said, Dad, you're going to be proud of me. And I said, why? I'm always proud of you, but why am I going to be proud of you? And she said, because today I saw a dog, and I walked past the dog. And I said, baby, that was so good on you. That's so good. And I said, why did you do that? And she said, because I'm bold, and I'm brave, and I'm strong and confident. That's the affirmation, part of the affirmations that I talk with my daughters every night. You're bold. And I have them repeat after. I'm bold, I'm brave, I'm strong, I'm confident, I can do hard things, I have a beautiful mind. So there are multiple things that I have, because I want the seat at their table, the narrative in their mind, to be telling them who they are and what they can do, not who everybody else thinks they are or who everybody else thinks they should be and what they can't do. And it's that seat at the table. It's going to be the kid in grade school that's going to be trying to rip you out of your seat to give you a false narrative, and it's going to be a fight. What are you doing to fight to make sure that the people around your table, the narrative in your mind is one that you want instead of one that you don't want? So, you know what? We're going to wrap up right there. Well, we'll just tell a quick story, and then we'll wrap up. So I was teaching a bullfighting school in Larkspur, Colorado. Started out with 3 bullfighters. One guy was super talented. When I'm teaching oh, look at that. Whose was this? Luke's? Yeah. All right, Luke, we can talk later. So this one bullfighter, he's super talented athletically, and I thought this guy's going to do so good. So when I'm teaching the fighting, I tell them what to do. I don't focus on what not to do. I'll tell them one time. I'm going to tell you this one time, what not to do, and that's all you're going to hear. You're going to hear what to do. And so I'll tell them that when the bull rider comes off, you have one jump. You need to be on that head so that you can grab that bull and take it away from the rider so the rider can get away. That's what you do. You go, and then I'm going to tell you what not to do. Don't go to the fence. That's the only time I'm going to say that. They've got 4 legs, you've got 2. They will outrun you. You can't make it. It's a dangerous place to be. The safest place that you can be is right here on a bull. It's like if somebody's chasing you with a wheelbarrow. They just can't get you because you're just right there. So I tell that to this guy. I'm out in the arena with them. The bull comes out. He's bucking. The rider bucks off, and I see my fighter steps in, one jump, grabs that bull by the head, and starts to make the rounds. I'm like, he's got it. And then I saw out of the corner of his eye, he looked at the fence. And I said, don't weaken. Go to him. He didn't. He went to the fence. This is what it looks like when you go to the fence. That's what it looks like when you listen to the wrong narrative that says it's going to be safer out there than it is in the arena. Same thing with the horse. It's thinking everything is on the other side of the fence that's going to be good, and I need to get out of this arena. In the arena of relationships, in the arena of your business, it gets tough, but stay in the fight. Go to them. Don't go away from them. Don't run. You've got greatness inside of you, but until you face your fears, you'll never realize your strengths. Thank you all so much for having me. It's a great time. Looking for a great rest of the afternoon.